Hello and welcome to Module 2 of our Pride is Coming series. We're so excited to get started and I look forward to delving into this module with all of you. So this module will be an introduction to Pride. We're going to be looking at the history of Pride and the concept of Pride as a whole, and I hope that you'll find this as interesting and enjoyable as I did creating it. Hi everybody, I'm Rowan and I've created this module to help everybody learn a bit more about Pride. I think it's a really important aspect of our community that we should all know more about. So we're going to be exploring some of the history, some of the culture around Pride, and I'd also like everybody to take a moment to consider what Pride means to them. Maybe this year will be your first Pride, maybe it's your 10th, but the importance of them still continues. So thank you to everybody for joining in, and I really hope you enjoyed these sessions. So then you might ask, what is Pride? Maybe we're talking about a Pride of Lions? Or even the Jane Austen book Pride and Prejudice? Nope. Today we're going to be learning all about the Pride movement, which celebrates the rights of LGBTIQ plus people around the globe. Let's have a quick look at a definition of Pride. So Pride can be defined as an event or series of events that celebrate and affirm the rights, equality, and culture of LGBTIQ plus people. For most of us, when we think of Pride, we probably think of something like this: a big parade full of colour, people, music, and laughter. But in this module, we're going to be looking at the history of Pride, all the way back to before Pride began, to the iconic Stonewall Inn and the riots that proceeded in New York City that kick-started the Pride movement, all the way forward to what Pride means to us now as a community and what it represents for our future going forward. Pride is an important part of our community. It's a time for us to be who we are, love who we love, and be true to ourselves. I hope that you've enjoyed the introduction to this module, and I look forward to the next section.
The time before Pride.
Hello, and welcome to the first section of our Introduction to Pride module, where we will be exploring the history of LGBTIQ plus people and the Pride movement. To start with, we will look into the following question. How long have LGBTIQ plus people existed? Why don't we dive in and take a look into the history of this beautiful community? Let's go! The journey of LGBTIQ plus people begins way back when the first human beings walked across the plains of Africa. That is to say, LGBTIQ plus people have existed as long as humanity itself. From our days living as hunters and gatherers, through to the birth of civilization, to our ancient societies, through our evolution and expansion as a species, to the fast-paced modern world that we live in today. LGBTIQ plus people have always been here. This module will explore the history of Pride as we know it today, from the very beginning. We hope that you enjoy this module and learn lots about the history of this prideful community. The time before Pride. Homosexuality is as ancient as humanity itself. Some of the earliest records that we have of homosexuality were discovered on the island of Sicily, off the coast of Italy. Mesolithic rock art in Sicily shows what appears to be homosexual relations. The San people of present-day Zimbabwe have been known to practice open homosexual relationships for up to 10,000 years. These are depicted in several ancient rock art pieces, but unfortunately much of this history was erased during the colonial era. Up to 5,000 years ago, in ancient Egypt, Two male lovers were buried in a tomb that reflected the traditional style of married couples. As much as homosexuality is as ancient as humanity itself, so is the existence of transgender and non-binary people. Gender non-confirming people in several Native American tribes, known as Two-Spirit people, were traditionally revered as important members of their communities. Similarly, the Mahu, or third gender, people of Hawaii have long been viewed as important community members that hold influence over healing and other parts of social life. Let's take a look at some closer examples. One of the oldest pieces of evidence for the ancient existence of LGBTIQ+ people is found in Sicily. It dates to between 7,000 and 11,600 years ago. Soon after World War II, an accidental detonation occurred in a nearby cave, revealing the Paleolithic art. Although highly debated, many scholars identify the two figures in the art as a pair of men engaged in intercourse. Another famous example was discovered in Egypt in the 20th century. Up to 5,000 years ago, Khnumhotep and Yankhnum were a couple that worked for the pharaoh of the 5th dynasty in ancient Egypt. Their shared tomb was discovered in 1964 and is decorated with paintings of the two men depicted in the poses that were specifically reserved for married couples at the time. The Mahu people of Hawaii. Pre-colonial Hawaiian culture not only accepted but embraced those of the so-called third gender, known as Mahu, in the Hawaiian language. These people were important figures in their communities and stood as spiritual leaders, teachers, and healers. Unfortunately, the impact of colonialism on Hawaiian culture oppressed the Mahu people and forced many into hiding under Christian authority. That being said, many native Hawaiians, such as Kumuhina, continue to raise awareness of their proud identity today. So there you go. There is so much more to learn about LGBTIQ+ history beyond these few examples, but we hope that this showed just how ancient, natural, and common our community has been throughout the history of humanity. In the next section, we will be learning about the event that kickstarted the modern LGBTIQ+ rights movement, the Stonewall Riots.
The Stonewall Inn is a historic queer space in New York City, where LGBTIQ+ people were meeting in secret as early as the 1930s. Throughout its time, the Stonewall Inn suffered repeated raids from police, who would remove their cash register and alcohol, arrest people who did not wear gender-conforming clothing, such as drag queens, and even beat up patrons. On June 28, 1969, the people had had enough and fought back. A police raid erupted in protest and rebellion that lasted for 6 days, drawing hundreds of LGBTIQ+ people out into the streets to support. This uprising kick-started the modern LGBTIQ+ movement, with the first Pride Parade taking place in New York exactly 1 year after the Stonewall Uprising. Since this time, our community around the world has continued to stand for our rights, and Pride is now enjoyed all around the globe. Pride is a time to celebrate who we are and to remember the struggles of our queer ancestors, as well as the queer siblings still struggling around the world today. We hope that you've enjoyed this series and have a better idea of how Pride has evolved. Now, get your pride flags ready and let's go celebrate.